Welcome to the IR4 podcast. Back at it again with Jeremy Alexander Newsom. That time I got your name right.
Yes.
Brian Masterson. And our guest today is Ashley Allen.
Hello.
Today we're going to be talking about clean energy and some technology maybe in that sector as well. So welcome.
So tell us your experience, Ashley, on clean energy.
Okay. So I want to preface, I'm not an expert at all. I have a degree in environmental science, but I mostly dealt with like zoology and biology, nice. But I like talking about just the environmental sector in general, so that's why I'm here.
Well, I mean, we've brought it up a few times. There's been a lot of discussions where we talked about clean energy. We've made some, we talked about solar on a few other.
Talked about solar.
Brandon Mayfield.
The hydroelectric energy and whatnot.
Yep. And so usually, as you all know, more than likely, Ashley's behind the camera making everything pretty. So now she's in front of the camera.
There's so many times I want to interject just because I want to get in the conversation. But it's like...
Exactly. So now we made it happen.
Frowned upon that I do that.
Now we're here. Yay. Now we're here. So you get to share us your thoughts. So where do you think clean energy is going in general?
Well, when did you graduate? How long ago was that?
2014, so 4 years ago.
So you studied environmental sciences. When was that even like an area of study? Because I feel like
forever. It's been for a long time. It's more popular nowadays just because the world is becoming more aware of their carbon footprint and everything. But probably around like the 80s, it started becoming like a thing.
When did the EPA get formed?
Shouldn't it like the 70s? I think
70s?
like officially. Oh, wow. Like I want to say like 74, but we could look it up. I feel really bad. I should really know this.
No, I definitely I've seen for sure we were taught in grade school what recycling is and everything like that, but not until very recently has it.
And recycling is so basic. Like there's so much that you could talk about.
But I do feel like the whole global consciousness of hey, let's take care of Mother Earth.
Well, back in the day, people, especially when around the war times, like people didn't expect to live very long. So you kind of just did what you wanted with the earth. You didn't have to take care of it because in the end, you didn't see yourself 100 years down the line. Right. But now, as we're kind of seeing or hoping towards something like world peace, maybe one day you want your kids or just people in general to be able to live in a world where it's not polluted or anything.
Sure, and like the longevity of someone's life. Mm-hmm. Since it's maybe 80, 90 now versus back then, you can actually see the changes happening, you know?
Yeah. You're able to really kind of soak them in.
And it's even better nowadays, too. I mean, I'm sure in 50 years we'll be living past 100. Yeah. Depending, I mean.
Yeah, who the hell knows?
Very possible. Very possible.
I don't know. It's interesting.
So why aren't more countries adapting cleaner energy? Like, why is America taking so long? Why are we falling so far behind some of these bigger countries?
Well, America, as great as it is, we are very, we don't like change, and we are such a big country that changing our whole foundation, I mean, we are based on oil. Changing that whole foundation would be a huge undertaking, and so for like the smaller countries, and we do see that some of the smaller countries are the ones that are actually taking the lead role. China's doing some good stuff, but for instance, like the Scandinavian countries are kind of the ones that are taking the lead. Denmark is one of the leading countries when it comes to renewable energy. Mm-hmm. So is like Sweden. They're smaller countries. But then again, America also is a very capitalistic society, and clean energy doesn't really make a lot of money right now, even though in the end, if you put a lot of money into something, there are ways to make money off of it.
Sure.
So.
No, I find it fascinating. Every time, whatever industry we're looking at, there's some entanglement with the capitalistic mantra.
The whole environmental sector is being stifled by money. I mean, if you just were to put money into it, we would be light years ahead, but they don't because we want to keep...
Because we're gluttonous and
we want more and more money.
So what would it take for us to start? I mean, I feel like right now it's good. The awareness is obviously the most it's ever been. Mm-hmm. You know, you look at like Leonardo DiCaprio taking Oscars and saying,
I don't think a lot of people know that Leo is actually like a huge environmentalist. He's done all sorts of documentaries. He's gone to all sorts of meetings and speeches, and he speaks out a lot on it, and I don't think people know that.
Well, I mean, I feel like once you start understanding how shitty this, the situation is,
Yeah.
And perhaps, I don't know, if he's seen, impoverished countries with piles of trash, and I saw some documentaries of, like, Africa, and, like, people are living in dumps.
I mean, like, India's really bad, too.
India's really bad, man. There's some really rough spots.
They literally, their bathing water, like, a lot of them have, like, almost group pools where everyone will bathe, and, I mean, they'll just be littered with trash, and we kind of but, I mean, honestly, something crazy, and I tell a lot of people this when they ask me about, like, why I got into just the environmental sector in general, but back, and I can't remember the exact date, but this is one of the reasons that the EPA was formed, is that, I mean, even just, I can't remember exactly where it is called, the Cuyahoga River is what it was.
Yeah, that's in Cleveland.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. There you go. Yeah, hometown. No, but basically what happened is back, I feel like it was also in the 70s.
Caught on fire.
It caught on fire, yeah, because it was so much trash in it that you could light something and you could walk on it. And that's one of the reasons that the Clean Water Act was passed, because we literally set a river on fire because there was so much crap in it. So... And people don't realize, I mean, we just rolled back clean water.
It's not my fault.
Clean water standards so recently. And it's like, I don't think they remember that we in America had the same problem that some of these other countries had. We just threw shit in the water.
But I mean, so also, like, Lake Erie's right on Cleveland, and the Cuyahoga is right next to Lake Erie. Mm-hmm. The city of Cleveland dumps their sewage waste out into Lake Erie.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, if you're, there's bottles of water. You drink a bottle of water, it's just because we have all these systems in place, you give it no thought, okay, bottle of water, throw it in the trash. But where is that going to go? Right? So the consumption happens, but where's the waste going to go?
Yeah.
So, like...
We're supposed to have things in place for that, but they're not great. I mean...
We gotta cut that part out.
Yeah. So you were mentioning earlier other countries, smaller countries taking the lead. What are some of those countries taking the lead, and what are they doing?
Yeah, like I said, most of them are of the Scandinavian countries. They're smaller. They have a lot of resources, or just a lot of access to some of the different types of powers. So, and I actually have a really cool website that we can pull up, and there's this really cool, organization called the World Energy Council, and basically they rate countries based on, they call it the trilemma, the energy trilemma. Mm-hmm. And I'll talk to you, there's some blockchain mixed into that too. And you'll have to read the white paper because I don't quite understand it. But trilemma, and I have to read it. It's one of them is energy security. So how secure are you in your energies? It's not like you're gonna run out tomorrow. Energy renewability. So what kind of things are you what kind of strides are you making in the energy field? And then 3, energy access. So are your people able to access cheap energy? Okay. Because if it's, you can have energy, but if it's not available to the public because it's so expensive. But I think the top 4 on there are the Scandinavian countries.
Well, I mean, there's always going to be an element of, if I own the energy or the property, like oil, and I can sell it, like that's a commodity. Yeah. But who owns the sun?
Right.
How can...
Well, that's the problem. That's why they can't...
That's why they can't... there's a couple reasons, but yeah, solar energy, the sun's free, so...
Wind energy, it's very difficult to make money off of hydroelectric or...
Yeah.
I mean, because no one really owns...
You sell the systems.
Rivers divide most, states, countries, so no one really owns rivers necessarily.
My hope is that in the future we realize that the money is not as important as our health, because a lot of our health problems can stem from us just having crappy air or...
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to put this on the back burner, but I want to talk about nuclear.
Yeah.
But before that, do you know what the spectrum is?
Which spectrum?
The wavelength spectrum.
Oh, like ultraviolet, microwave.
Yeah, where's your head at?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's different...
There's a lot of spectrum.
The main spectrum of waves.
Okay, yeah, the wave spectrum, sure.
Right.
Sure.
There was, I think it was the FCC or some government entity was trying to own that or make sure that the spectrum was property, right? The wave spectrum was property. Wow. Because if they owned the wave spectrum, because I was researching this when I was looking up wireless energy charging.
Yeah.
I looked into that recently.
Yeah, if you had like a Bluetooth, like let's say you had like a transmitter and a receiver was built into your phone.
Yeah.
your phone could just be charging just by here. You
Right.
only need to
Like
connect.
Wi-Fi.
Exactly,
Right.
like Wi-Fi, but for energy. So I'm looking into that. How can it be proprietary?
Yeah.
Well, for the inventors selling the transmitters and the receivers and everything, but let's say this studio we're in, they're up here, they buy the transmitter, but they can charge the energy that you're consuming. Okay, so
Makes sense.
well, they own the transmitter and the receiver, but is there a way to own
The
the
actual
transmission
wave.
and
Yeah.
the wave,
Yeah.
right? And so the government was looking into like taxing that. So I'm thinking, okay, well, if you have these government entities looking at that, why can't a government entity say, hey, we own the spectrum, therefore we own the wavelengths coming into the spectrum, which is going into the solar power, so they could tax the energy companies who are absorbing that
Sure.
sunlight,
Sure.
and say, hey, you're going through our property, and this is
I will say if the government ever does that, that's where we probably make that shift into solar energy.
Yeah.
Because as soon as the government and really the nations can figure out how to make money off of clean energy, it'll be much easily adapted.
Right.
Because the challenge is just changing that entire infrastructure.
It's sad, honestly, that it's all driven by money, but I understand.
Yeah, I mean it's
There's so much good in just different, and we'll talk about it later, I'm sure, just the different types of energies that people are using, and it's just
so. Should we bring back nuclear now?
Yeah, let's bring it back.
yeah.
Well, you mentioned the type of energies. Let's just dive into
yeah.
Let's just dive into that.
So
Yeah.
as far as like the Scandinavian countries, we were talking about that and the ones that they're using. So we actually went to Iceland last November.
Yeah.
And they're using things like thermal and like the energy from
Geothermal?
the geothermal. Yeah, that's a really cool energy, and it's very cheap there to have energy. I mean, their bills are very low. Some of the bigger, I think Sweden and a couple of them use a lot of energy from hydroelectric dams.
Mm-hmm.
So, which brings up another question, just between the environment is. Dams tend to reroute water systems,
Right.
and so is that good or bad? Like, and
Right.
I'll talk about it in nuclear too. Is the pros and cons of like these things. I mean, you're able to power a lot. I mean, hydroelectric is pretty efficient. Yeah. So I mean, but at the same time, you're using dams, and you can mess up the native species there. So I mean, there's all sorts of
I
stuff,
didn't think
and
about
that
that.
yeah. I mean, we have a dam here in Nashville,
Yeah.
and it kind of it's literally like here, and then the water table drops
Yeah,
a
it's
ton,
insane.
and that can mess up the whole migration of certain fish, and
Wow.
there's a lot of things you have to take into effect, but at the same time, it's pretty renewable energy.
Selfishly, why aren't us as human beings looking out for our first main interests? Like, listen, I am all for. I want to talk about the zoology, right? You said
Again, I'm not like I have a bachelor's degree.
I was just going to talk about zoos in general.
Oh yeah, we can talk about this. But like, don't ask me anything too quick.
we're talking about zoos.
It was 4 years ago.
Listen, I love animals. Okay, I'm an animal lover.
Me too.
But if it's a matter of us burning, like having carbon emissions from using too much oil, when we have a dam right here and we're the species that are native to the area are rerouting their migration. I mean, come on.
That's the
fish,
dilemma, though.
The fish can move. Let the fish move. This is about us.
There's certain
or is that
things.
selfishly speaking? That's
so
what
there's
I'm saying.
actually, from the zoology aspect, there's actually a lot of times we hear about these endangered species. Most of the time, we're concerned with the endangered species,
Right.
and there's two types. There's like the keystone species, which are ones that you don't normally hear about.
Okay.
They're typically very important to the environment. Like they, maybe they're fish and they eat up certain things on the bottom, which allow so that the water doesn't become too overgrown with algae, and then the fish can't breathe anymore, and so then all the fish die. But then there are also ones like the pandas, which sadly pandas don't really do much for the environment. They're cute, but they
probably have some type. I love pandas.
I love pandas, but
Well, they don't do
they
anything.
actually don't do much for the environment.
Yeah.
They're not like a keystone species. Like if you were to remove them, they wouldn't collapse like a whole
Sure.
ecosystem. So there's a lot of fish that if you take them, it could mess up a whole system. And you don't think about that. But we kind of need the pandas of the world to make sure that people are funneling money and resources into saving so they're called, I can't remember what they're called, but they're like the poster child for like the WWF. You need those. Yeah. Like you guys, you're like the poster child of IR4, but there's people in the background, you need money funneled into those, so.
So we're the pandas.
You're the pandas, and I might be the fish.
All right, so on that topic, so since we're pandas,
Love me some bamboo.
Love some good old bamboo. What is the type of energy? Is it geothermal where you dig a deep pipe into the ground and try to access the heat from like the magma?
I'm pretty sure.
The liquid hot magma.
Is that geothermal?
Maybe, I don't know. I honestly don't know.
It's definitely the heat from the magma, though.
I feel like
Hawaii. Did you see that?
Yes.
That's insane.
I mean, all I know is that geothermal is, releasing the heat from the ground, but I don't know if there's a specific one for just from the magma. I don't know.
Well, so you mentioned the negatives of hydroelectric. Well, at least some of the negatives. Yeah. Are there any other negatives with geothermal energies?
I mean, you would be disrupting the ground. I mean, they're
fracking.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Don't.
What's wrong with fracking?
Fracking is very bad.
Trying to get down to the natural gas.
Yeah. What's wrong with fracking?
So.
What the frack?
Yeah. that's one of my. I want to do something with what the frack. Anyways.
Trademarked.
Trademarked. Yes. So what? Fracking. For one, they go like on little fissures in the ground, and typically that can cause a lot of earthquakes if you do it big enough. But mostly, what the problem that we find with fracking is when you go in there, in order to extract that natural gas, typically they have to pour this, or in all instances, you have to pour this chemical. It's like a very viscous chemical down into the ground to like open it up or get release that energy, and it gets into the groundwater, and it causes it poisons people's water.
Oh, wow.
So fracking, and it's a very short-term solution. So fracking, we should just get rid of fracking. It's a very 2-year, one little crack can maybe power for 2 years, and it's not even that much.
Oh, really?
It poisons the water for the years that it gets energy from it is nothing near what it's worth for poisoning that groundwater. Groundwater is so important.
I saw, so some of the things I do, I help business owners find money. Well, this business owner came up with this idea for fracking where, what did they do? They used some thermal, it was all based upon heat, and it eliminated that the chemical element of it, so it was safer and it wouldn't poison
I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah,
I remember you telling me about that.
For me, in all honesty though, fracking is bad. It does there's a lot of micro earthquakes that happen around those points because you are opening it up. But again, the amount of energy that you're getting is very short lived. You're not, and then so you're releasing all that gas, and natural gas it messes kind of things up. But it's 2 years is not enough. That's not a long-term solution. So we're just going to put cracks everywhere.
Right, it's a Band-Aid.
Yeah, it's a Band-Aid. It's just a quick, short-term solution for something that we could be putting more energy into something that's more long-term, in my opinion.
How recent is fracking?
Oh, it hasn't actually been around, I feel like, for that. I mean, it may have been. They may have had it in... You've only heard about it for maybe the last 10 years, but they've been in different stages before then. But there's actually there's a couple of... We watched a movie together, didn't we? About fracking, and it had John Krasinski. I think Matt Damon and John Krasinski.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Oh, it's crazy! It's actually got a huge twist at the end. It's
a good movie.
You should watch it. It's about the pros and cons, kind of. It talks about both sides of fracking. It's really good.
So what? I don't know why I'm so heavy on this nuclear thing.
No, you can.
Well, let's talk more about nuclear energy. What's the negatives of that?
Yeah. Why is it so positive? Because the word nuclear.
It's scary.
Automatically, you think nuclear bombs, holy shit,
And again, I'm not.
That's the first thing you think.
Fully versed in nuclear energy. Again, I'm more from a biology standpoint. But there are a lot of environmentalists would say no nuclear at all. It's bad, exactly, because there are pros and cons. The pros of it, nuclear energy is very efficient. You can get a lot of energy, a lot of energy from nuclear power.
But isn't nuclear power just simply
it's very clean
splitting
too.
protons and
from what I understand, it's very clean though for the instance. But the problem is if it melts down, it's very dangerous because the nuclear Hiroshima, it poisoned everything. Chernobyl, yeah. If it melts down and has a catastrophic failure, you will literally poison the land for hundreds of years.
And
it's really bad.
So it's 1.1% chance of it happening.
Yes, it's a very low chance, but if it is, you will literally cause radioactive. And then plus on top of that, I think as I understand, the byproducts of it can be used to make nuclear weapons, and that's why sometimes they don't want other countries to have the nuclear plants because.
What's interesting about a lot of nuclear plants, though, this is shocking, but most nuclear plants, to my knowledge, are actually run off of electricity.
Really?
Yeah. So if the electricity or electric grid goes out, like an EMP or something, they have backup generators that can last 2 years or whatever. But they say like that's another reason people are afraid of nuclear energy is because if there is a
You have to keep things cool, don't you? Like
correct.
cooling
You have
rods
to keep the
and
cooling. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
So
or it'll melt down, and that's where
we're talking like we know anything about nuclear energy. But
again, yeah.
I'm a nuclear scientist.
You know more about nuclear energy, but this is just a bare overview
but
of
to my
it.
knowledge, yeah. So it's like that's people are. I mean, they've mentioned like in shows and like if they have an electric grid, EMP goes out. All the nuclear plants have about a 2-year lifespan of a generator. Where they
Sometimes
can have, like,
less, though.
Sometimes less, but they have
Yeah.
a backup. But once that fails, game over.
You have to
So
get.
all
You
these-
have to evacuate miles and miles.
So all
and
these
miles
nuclear
away.
plants are like more or less time bombs. If
a failure happens.
if an electric
Who did we have when we talked about the EMP? Remember that?
Yeah.
episode?
Oh.
I think it was Michael.
I forget.
That was Michael Thompson.
I think yes.
Yeah, it was Michael.
That's scary, man.
Yeah, it's very possible.
I think we have one pretty close to here.
Nuclear
Oh, yeah.
plant.
It's like
yeah.
in East Tennessee.
Yeah. My buddy's a scientist there.
Okay, so what are the pros and cons then? Because this is just interesting. I've never thought of pros and cons of clean energy. I thought it was all pros. So you're giving
No.
some cons. Interesting.
No, I can give
So
you
we-
the cons of solar energy
Well,
too.
what are those? I have no idea.
Solar energy, and this is the same. I'll
Other
preface
than
this.
being hot outside.
Dude, it's
These
I'll
sweating.
preface this with a lot of our electronics. So solar energy has like certain types of like metals and stuff in the little plates. If you actually think about that, and even in our phones, sometimes some of these metals that to extract them, you have to get them from like Africa, and people are mining these, and they're digging up the earth and getting these metals. So a lot of the time, your phone can actually have just as bad of an environmental impact as like cutting down trees. Again, I'm a huge proponent of like keeping everything, safe and keeping everything healthy. But there are pros even in solar energy panels. But again,
cons.
oh sorry, yeah, cons. But then again, there are a lot of pros for the amount of energy. If we can perfect the efficiency of solar, and I'm a huge proponent of solar energy. That's the one I hope will rise
What
in the
about
future.
wind? I mean, I feel like that's almost.
No, wind is also great. I just think wind is intermittent. So is sun, though, but they have tried to create solar panels that kind of work like flowers. So they will charge during the day, and at night they do something with water and are able to kind of recharge at night, so you can use your lights at night.
Flowers, man. Those
They're
things.
They're using the natural
flowers, like actual flowers.
No, they're not using flowers, but they're using the idea of what
energy.
a flower does.
No, but you're like flowers, man.
No, I'm saying, think about it, dude. They take the energy from the sun and then they
Plants are insane.
photosynthesis.
Plants are insane.
Oh yeah, we've learned. You weren't there. Oh, never mind.
What?
We went to a arboretum the other day, me and Roberto, when we were in Montreal, and it was awesome.
I know about photosynthesis.
No, it's more about
Dude, plants are
plants.
insane.
Plants can literally, whenever you smell cut grass, that's literally their system saying, "Oh my gosh, I'm like bleeding," and it's alerting the other grass that it's being cut.
I love the smell of
So
cut grass, but
cut
now I
grass
feel
is
bad about it.
literally, cut grass is literally freaking
Most
out that you just
people
cut it.
love the smell of fear and
Fear in
panic
grass,
is
yeah.
what's happening.
Really?
That's terrible.
There's another
Where'd you
plant
get that from?
Well, she just said the grass getting cut is a warning signal. We're
People
like,
love the smell
oh
of fear
yeah.
and panic.
If you love the smell of grass, cut grass. So you love the smell of all these grass just panicking and getting murdered.
It's
Now I'm gonna feel bad when I'm on the lawn.
There's literally
is
another,
great.
when like a plant,
This is
there's
too
some
far.
plants that live in the woods, and I don't remember what it is. We learned about it in my botany class, but when like a animal munches on it, like it sends little electrical signals through its roots to warn the other ones, and sometimes they can close up to
Wow.
like.
That's insane.
Plants are extremely
Extremely
brilliant.
sophisticated,
Yeah,
yeah.
brilliant.
So-
even though they're not.
So tell us more about your thoughts on the future of I don't know, is it ocean technology?
Ooh, ocean.
Ocean technology. So using the waves, the
yeah.
kinetic energy of the waves to produce power.
Well, but
how
before we
much-
could dive into the ocean, the wind.
Oh, yes. Pros.
What-
There's so much that we could talk
Cons
about.
of
There's
the
so
wind.
many types. I can even tell you some really cool
What's
ways
the cons of wind power? Is it called wind power or is it called
power-
hydroelectric? Not
No.
No, hydro.
Not hydro. That's water. What's the
I
just
most people-
aereo?
Just call it wind power.
Aeroelectric.
Yeah.
We could look it up. I'm sure everything has like a really
has to.
special
All
name.
right, wind power. What are the disadvantages of wind?
Yeah.
I'm not that again. It's
Other than
intermittent,
intermittent.
so I mean, it can. It's not something that you could store in a turbine, but it's also kind of an eyesore. Like solar panels, you can pretty much put on your roof, but wind turbines, you have to throw them up in the air, and they're huge. They're enormous. If you've ever been, when we went
Oh,
to
yeah.
Chicago, we had to drive. Remember
Farmlands,
that?
yeah.
The
all
farmlands are
yeah.
thousands of acres
yeah.
full of wind, which is actually kind of cool to see. But
Yeah.
Side note, if there's anyone young watching this show or you have kids or young, people who work on those wind turbines get paid crazy money.
or if you just
Really?
hundreds of dollars an hour.
Or you
Oh,
can
man.
you can make money from wind though. A lot of people will lease their land to
Right.
put the
Yeah,
turbines on, so you
yeah.
can make money from
I
wind.
did see one. Oh man, it was so sad. Two guys were working on those on top of the wind turbine,
Yeah.
a huge one, and the engine caught fire and they couldn't get down. Oh, so sad.
They're bigger than you think they are too.
They're huge.
Huge. Like you could probably the center of that thing
It's like a
is the size. Yeah, the
bigger than a
size.
semi-truck.
Like 4 of us. Like
It's insane.
they're enormous.
Wow, I did not know that.
All right, ocean. So I there's this guy. You probably would love him.
There's this guy. Sorry,
You making fun of me?
I'm just picking on you. I'm sorry.
All right, there's this person. There's this guy who developed this. It's almost like, have you heard of man? What's it? It's like an island of trash in the middle of the ocean.
It's the Great Garbage Patch. Yeah.
The Great Garbage Patch. So he created this technology where, if you're looking at the currents of the ocean, you can actually put drop these nettings where it's collecting the trash, and then you can remove it and put it on barges, and the barges take it back to the mainland, and then you can recycle all those goods. But I was like, I'm researching this and listening to this other podcast, and there's an island of trash in the ocean just floating there.
Mm-hmm. It's where all the currents kind of meet up, and then it just kind of swirls.
I truly didn't know that was a thing until recently.
Yeah,
that's again, a lot of people don't know about these things, and they're huge things that you should think about. I mean,
I'm conscious. I'm very. I will say this.
This is why you should care. I mean,
because of the awareness of all of this that has happened over the past decade, 2 decades.
And we do have the technology to see it now, the internet and everything.
That's true. Yeah,
we didn't know before that.
Right here.
Yeah, I think it's getting better.
I do a very conscious job of throwing trash away, recycling when I can. I even use glass water bottles and just reuse them all the time instead of using plastic.
Yeah, and we reuse our plastic bottles too.
Yeah, if we do get it because we go on camping trips and we need a lot of them.
Yeah,
for a long time.
We use them several times.
But I think our generation, for sure, with the Sesame Street generation, let's call it, that grew up on the recycle, don't pollute the energy.
Don't be a litter bug.
Dude, I literally have a complex about littering. I could never, ever just take a piece of trash and just throw it in the ocean.
There are tons of people that do. It's crazy. Well, a lot of times too,
if you had a popsicle and just threw the wrapper in the ocean.
I mean, back then I was probably naive. And
I'm talking about right now.
Oh, right now? Yeah. Absolutely not.
Yeah, there's no way I could do that. I would feel terrible.
I mean, if you've seen the pictures of you love animals. I mean, animals they'll cut open, something will die, they'll cut it open, and its stomach will be literally full to the brim of trash.
Oh my gosh!
Like
there's
sharks
a video of a sea turtle eating a straw, like a McDonald's straw.
Through his nose.
Yeah, I felt so bad for that poor guy.
Turtle.
That's why there's a huge movement right now to stop drinking straws. There's no need for them. You can drink without one.
Oh shit! I like straws.
You can get a stainless steel straw. They have those, and it's just reusable.
Yeah, don't worry. I have my straw.
I don't need a straw.
Just an option if you don't want it.
I do, but you notice I don't use straws.
We don't really go get straws anymore because we throw them away most of the time.
I mean I don't, because first of all you can't look manly and drink from a straw, because
What I don't.
I mean, I'm just saying it's not a cool.
Do you know
look.
what I do though? When I do get a 6-pack, I cut those rings.
Yes.
Same here, dude.
Yeah.
That's an easy thing to do.
Yeah. So I know there's a company called, the ticker is OPTT, Ocean Power Technologies, and that's where the ones they're using the kinetic energy of the waves. What do you know about that? Or do you know much about it?
About the company or the...
No, the company, sorry. Just the technology itself. So they're pretty much using the wave of the ocean to create that motion. And that motion creates...
The motion of the ocean.
Literally creates energy, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know quite at all. I don't know a lot about it at all. Yeah. But other than it just uses the
Why not,
power.
I think that's genius.
The ocean's huge. Why not just create an island instead of the trash of floating solar panels?
Bam! Look at that. That's a great one. Probably
it's so easy.
But maybe hurricanes or tsunamis.
They are easily damaged, and when they are damaged, they are very inefficient. So right now, solar energy typically
put a motor on it and fucking drive it out.
drone solar panels.
Hey, listen, do you start a company? You have a headquartered wherever, and what are you in charge of? I drive solar panels from the ocean.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That would be sweet.
Right now, solar energy typically is between 20 to 40% efficient. So most of the energy that hits it, 20-40% will be absorbed, and the rest is heat, given off as heat.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Interesting.
Right. There's a couple of companies, and I have them on a list that I think Canadian Solar is one of the ones that has a really high efficient solar panel. Yeah.
So you said 20. I didn't think it was that low.
That's super low.
That's one of the reasons why that solar energy isn't in the spotlight. It's not super inefficient, but again, like I think the one at Canadian Solar does, it's like almost 48% efficient. It's very efficient.
Yeah. What are
in this spectrum?
What are the efforts to increase that efficiency?
Yeah. So right now, a lot of it's going to just do on money. As we know, if you put money into just researching, you're able to make things more efficient. I mean, just think about cars back in the day and how inefficient they are and how much we've come from there. I know there's another company out there. One of the reasons that solar energy is, it's also very expensive. I mean, to build one of those things. And they're trying to they're called solar wafers, like the little things that go in there and actually do all the work. And they're trying to make those, figure out a way to manufacture those cheaply, because if you can make those cheap, then you can make the technology cheap.
Do you know how many business ideas we give our Patreons? You guys should go start some companies. I mean, there's a lot of great ideas.
And cleaning, we're cleaning them too. I mean, solar energy. One of the if that's dirty, it obviously cuts down on the efficiency. So
just creating a little robot, just like your the
Roomba, iRobot,
iRobot for solar panels, it just cleans it all the time.
Whoa!
Or just making the stuff pretty indestructible, because if it, like, for instance, Florida is extremely good for solar power. So much sun there, but again, they get hurricanes and stuff. If you damage your solar panels, that's a huge investment that's now destroyed.
I saw a solar panel that fluxes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it follows the sun like a flower.
Yeah. Well, I will say this. I know that they're working on, this was a Kickstarter I saw, actually. A gentleman created a type of solar panel that was virtually indestructible, but he was used for parking lots and roads.
Oh, yeah. They did that in another country, too.
Yeah, and it'd actually be ones that you drive on. So, like, all the roads that we use instead of concrete and pavement would be solar panels.
Yeah.
But that would be huge the only problem is, can you imagine, like, if they shut down our roads to put those in?
Oh, man.
I mean, one lane at a time. Just like they do now. That's how they pave them.
No, I think eventually that's totally doable. Yeah. Or at least start with parking lots.
Start with parking lots first, yeah. When you repave a parking lot.
I mean, Disney, there's a lot of places that just have huge fields of solar panels. Like Disney, if you go there, there's actually just fields and fields of solar panels.
That's interesting about the efficiency, though. I mean, that's something that
it's being worked on.
I've definitely heard of. I mean, the reason that it's not as popular is because it is so
But again,
inefficient.
we don't have that much money put into it. I mean, there is companies out there, but it's
hard to make money off the sun right now.
It's hard to make money right now on the sun. It's the systems you put in, but you don't want to buy it unless it's efficient. And
so let's talk about global warming.
I have one more thing to add about solar panels and making money off solar panels. Sorry. Anyway, so we have a friend that actually used to have solar panels in Texas. Jason may be watching, and he said that also a lot of energy companies, depending on how much kilowatt hours that your thing produces, you can actually sell that back to some energy companies. And in Texas, I think he said it was an open market, so you can choose which one's giving you the best rate. So you can make money.
Is that called net metering, I think?
No idea the name of it. But they do that in California. They do it in Hawaii. They do it in a lot of other states.
They have an open market there, so you can say that one's offering me this much money for it.
Which absolutely makes sense. That's huge.
So you can make money off of your own solar panels.
Yeah.
If you not very much.
Not very much, but I mean, you're talking $60-$100 a month usually.
Yeah.
Plus you have no electric bills. But I mean, you have to pay a big expense up front. Mm-hmm. That's why a lot of people lease them, or they come up with this like interesting contract. But
use solar panels to mine cryptocurrencies.
Dude, crypto baby.
Again, that World Energy Council has a blockchain publication that they just put out talking about how to get energy companies into the blockchain and what that would mean for it. So I don't know.
I'm telling you, blockchain's everywhere.
You'll have to read it.
So global warming, well, two things, global warming and harvesting other resources outside of the planet. We're trying to go to Mars. Is there some type of element there that we can, harvest and bring back and use as an energy resource?
Those are two totally different questions, man.
I know.
That's massive.
I know, two huge questions.
First of all, global warming, a little bit of a controversial subject.
Yes.
You ready to dive in?
No, so I'll first so one thing that we were taught, and what a lot of people, the media actually called it global warming. This is why so many people are up in arms. One of the reasons is people are like, well, the Earth is getting colder in the winter. It's not global warming. We're getting cold too. It's actually called global climate change.
When it's freezing cold out, like abnormally during the summer, or wicked hot during the winter, I'm just like global warming.
Yeah, so it's actually it's global climate change. It's just the climate as in general is changing. Okay. So it's not necessarily warming. That's why people are like, it's warming, therefore it doesn't exist. It's not getting so warm. It's getting colder actually in the winters. It's like, no, the whole thing is just kind of off.
Yeah.
Anyways, two different things though.
Yeah.
Your questions.
Here's an interesting, if you want controversy. So this is a cool, like, ulterior perspective.
Okay.
I learned it from a comedian.
Yeah.
George Carlin, very, very popular comedian, was more or less saying that there's nothing that we can do to the Earth it doesn't care about, because the Earth is so massive. It's like we're just fleas.
Yeah.
And it's going to be around 3, 4, 5 billion years. It doesn't matter. We're just parasites. Like, it's just going to slowly it's going to get so cold. I mean, the ice age is just going to, if we push too hard, it's like Earth is just going to go, dude.
That's,
you know.
but that's not.
Bye.
But there's truth to that. I mean, the world obviously, like for Detroit, for instance, that one is overgrown by weeds now because Earth is kind of taken back over.
Yeah.
Because people don't live there anymore. So yes, the world will take over, and it does go through its own cycles on its own.
Sure.
But we are definitely not helping it.
We're not helping it.
No.
But I'm saying,
and we're making it worse. So
perfect example.
We're speeding things up.
Get on Google Earth and put in your address, and then just start zooming out slowly. And every major metropolitan area, it looks like a sore. It looks like a sore on Mother Earth.
Like a bunion.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, but the thing is, like, a billion years from now, it's just going to be covered in grass.
See, my question is, though, if we have the ability to not cause pain and actually, like, I know Earth will take care of itself and it will destroy us if it needs to, but let's not do that and enjoy it. And if we have the ability to, let's just take care of it.
True.
And not speed up certain
So,
things.
don't mow my lawn, is what you're saying?
No.
No.
Well, that causes pain to the grass.
That's true.
Well, the thing is, I mean, a lot of people also forget how many trees are out there. Like, how much.
There's so many trees.
There
are a lot of trees, but a lot of them are being bought up by people.
There's a lot.
And what's
there.
from a lumber industry standpoint, we're not using a lot of paper. You know,
It'll be
But everything's moving, to the digital.
Do you think paper will be gone in 20 years?
It's becoming obsolete, I think.
If you watch The Office, you know.
I never thought that through, but I mean, what about you? Do you think that would be...
Maybe not in 20 years, but yeah, 50, 60, 70 years. I don't think it'll be a thing. But again,
they're going to use
but
paper.
again, you'll use your Kindles that use certain metals that you have to mine from.
I mean,
Right.
well, toilet paper, that'll be around for a bit. Good chance.
A bidet, you can use a bidet.
Paper towels.
No, there's certain things that'll
There's
still be
certain
around.
paper that'll still be around.
No one's gonna, kids use laptops.
I was trying to
now,
think.
So.
Is wood more used for building materials then?
Yeah, I would say
Yeah,
so.
but it's a hard thing because a lot of the wood now is cheap wood that you have like farms for, and they're not as big. Like the trees are kind of skimpy, and then we have like these mediocre wood products that aren't just done as well as they were years ago. IKEA, yeah. Grind it down all to the wood pulp and then squish it together, and it's a terrible piece of furniture.
Yep.
It's cheap, but it's not going to last.
I don't like
you.
IKEA furniture, man.
You do I.
You guys are too.
Yeah, we're two men.
No, yeah. I like custom pieces built by me.
I like real sturdy wood. You know?
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
There's not much of that anymore unless you get like a very beautiful piece, like a pristine
costs money,
forest.
but-
But yeah, it's a lot of money.
So, all right. So
now back to the Mars thing.
Yes,
Okay,
Mars. Yeah, I don't know where you're going with this. But
like, what if there's some mineral or something on Mars that we can bring back to Earth? I mean, think of what Elon's doing. Falcon 9 was launched 2 days ago or whatever. If we bring back a sample of something from Mars and really research it, and how can we use whatever this substance is and use it as fuel, and then we just start shipping, and the next thing you know, you look up and Mars is like going away because we're using all the resources back here on Earth. We're not hurting Mother Earth. I mean, is that a possibility?
I mean, I think that's the premise of like all alien movies too. Is like aliens come here and they're trying to harvest.
That's the premise of most alien movies.
Yeah, which is interesting though, because it's like they sometimes will destroy the race there too. I mean, we are all parasites. Like it's.
Oh man,
we just
I don't
suck
do
resources
aliens.
out of it.
I don't do aliens.
We talked about this. We love talking about
Why
aliens.
Are you so scared of aliens, man?
Because they're going to come here and harvest us.
You're wanting to harvest Mars, though.
There's no.
They're probably thinking the same thing. They're like, Brian has a great idea. Let's go harvest Earth.
That's what they're thinking
Oh
right
Lord.
now.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
They want that. They want this water.
Yeah, we are very unique.
We definitely are going to have an alien conversation on the show at some point. We're going to have to get a ancient astronaut theorist in this chair.
Freaked out.
Yeah.
We love talking about aliens.
Yeah.
So
it's a huge pastime.
So, all right, we've kind of covered where current day is, right, and how we came from like the industrial first revolution.
Yeah.
But this fourth one that we're in, IR4, shout out.
That's right.
Plug. We're becoming more self-aware, more conscious of the healthiness of our natural surroundings in nature. But where's it going? I mean, the renewable is awesome, but what's it going to take to get to that next step? Just more more awareness.
You have
spreading the word.
You have to get people on board with the product itself. You have to get them to care about it. Why should I care where my energy comes from? Like we talked about this. Like I hate leaving lights on in the house because I know that there's a coal plant somewhere in Tennessee, and it's the more energy, the more light switch I leave on, the more need there is for that coal, so the more they're going to keep producing. And if I use less energy, then they don't need as much coal to pump there. And if everyone were to do that, they're like, oh, well, we don't need to output that much, so we don't need to take down this mountain. So it's like just smaller amounts.
My wife leaves every light on in the house. Turn off the light, turn off the light, turn off the light. Everywhere.
Yeah.
It drives me nuts.
So, I mean, I think you just have to get people more aware of just they're all alternatives and also create cheaper products. So, I mean, especially for these ones that you can have yourself, like solar, I don't think there are a couple places that sell you mini wind turbines you can put in your backyard, but cool. I don't think it does it's not enough to power your whole house, but it can subsidize.
I did not know they do mini wind turbines.
There's like a little mini one you can set up in the backyard. I don't know if it's like available to the public. They had a Kickstarter and there's a couple other ones, but
interesting.
I mean, for the ones that are available to the public, make it cheaper, or show them that, hey, if you invest, I know Nashville itself has a lot of solar power that they're trying to invest in, and show them that having maybe your tax dollars going towards this is good in the long run because it'll slash your bill in half, because it's expensive in the summer here to pay for electricity.
What's it called when you have human, like the hamster wheel type of power?
Kinetic energy, yeah.
So there was absolutely, I keep forgetting the guy's name. I love this. He just has a hard name to pronounce, but he's the CEO of 5 Hour Energy.
Yeah.
He's sponsoring some type of bike that you pedal that creates kinetic energy.
They should put that in people's houses, like.
Yeah, you get a workout in.
That's what I'm saying.
That's legit.
That is the way to go. That's the way to go. And
or why not just make an entire gym down the street? All based on that.
Nice one.
Really?
It's almost like a true hamster wheel for the city.
That's brilliant, actually. Like, that's actually really cool.
Call it hamster wheel.
Yeah, hamster wheel gym.
That's the name of the gym. Well, we have one in our gym. Remember, it's like the green.
It's not hooked up to anything. But
no, it's not hooked up. But there's no electricity required. It runs off of just pressure.
Imagine everyone going, and people pay for gym memberships.
Yeah,
going to the gym.
People are always there.
And just working out, and next thing you know, here's our energy source. And
you can log in, and the more you generate, you actually get a check back at some point. You still have to pay to be
like
a part
tax
of it.
credit or something.
Yeah. I'm down for that.
Dude, this is a great idea, actually. Don't take this one. This is actually cool.
All we do is just crank these ideas out, man.
There's a Black Mirror episode on that, though.
There is. Absolutely.
There's a Black Mirror. Do you watch Black Mirror on Netflix?
You should. Oh my gosh.
If you guys watch a lot of movies, Industrial Revolution, it talks about the future just in general. It's crazy.
Dude, I'll put it this way. I carve out time to watch movies. That's one of my loves. I love watching movies.
We watch, at the end of the day, like
we
10 to 11, we'll like watch
a movie
something.
a day-ish. Yeah, about a movie a day.
But they have a guy who, like, basically the whole world is run off of people, like...
Yeah, that was a little bit darker. It's
very dark.
But that's pretty much what it is no one goes to work anymore. It's an energy crisis, and what they do is just they have...
famous people that you watch,
thousands of cells. People just all they do is ride bikes all day to create energy.
But if your goal is you want to be the people that you watch on screen while you're doing the energy, is like it's almost like an American Idol.
Yeah.
You get enough credits after biking, and then you can use those credits to go audition to get out of the.
Black Mirror is phenomenal.
That's insane.
Phenomenal.
Oh, it's
your mind will open up. Your mind will open up. It's incredible.
Cool. Other energy sources. Here's another one. It might go on with the wavelength. So there's a lot of weird energy sources. I think there's like a law. I don't do physics. My dad's actually a physicist. I should know this. But like energy can't be created or destroyed.
Right,
it just transferred.
Yeah.
So there's a cool energy for you guys who like beer and stuff. Like there's some places in Ireland that are using like the runoff from like beer plants. Yeah, to to create energy out there. So that's like a big thing. There's also a really crazy one, and you'll like this because of the Industrial Revolution. But whenever you are using a phone, you have little electricity that comes off of your fingers, and they're trying to create power using that. If you can harvest it, like maybe you could do something with the wavelengths and transfer that. I don't know how it works.
I had an idea. Remember that game Flappy Bird? It was like you just hit it and the bird. You try to keep the bird like not from falling or whatever. It was like this some viral video or cell phone game. Why not use that energy of the tap to mine Bitcoin? Or some type of crypto.
Well, that's what's interesting about the clean energy, and that's the reason we've talked about it so much, believe it or not, just throughout random conversations, because we're talking about the mining of cryptocurrencies becoming so
Yeah.
expensive.
Yes.
And people wanting to use different types of energy to mine Bitcoin. And that's where we get the big circle, the full circle of why we had this discussion in the first place. It all comes down to Bitcoin, baby. It all comes
And then you see a lot of
Bitcoin.
mining places in these places that have really cheap energy.
And that's when I went to Iceland and I saw that this thing,
There's a huge Ethereum
they have
mine
a bunch
there.
of Ethereum mines and it's run by geothermal. And I was talking to a bunch of people and I was like, dude, buy Ethereum.
Well,
And that's when it went bananas.
Well, it's obviously they have tons of cheap energy, but then it's also so cold there that they just open up the windows to cool it off. So they just have a huge draft that goes through the. It's huge.
I mean, Iceland's GDP and market cap is going to grow as a country just because of Ethereum. That's one of my things, I think.
So before we bring this to a close, I do want a tangent line once.
Okay. Well,
What's your opinion of zoos?
Here's a mind-blowing thing that I was thinking about the other day before I was going to sleep. So zoos are obviously I used to love them as a kid because it got me into what I love to do now. I love animals and it made me.
I loved going to the zoo.
I loved going to the zoo. But as I've grown older, I feel like some of these there are places where a zoo is maybe not necessarily a zoo, but places where that's needed. There may be an animal that can't live out in the wild. So
sure, like a refuge.
It can be like an ambassador for obviously like getting kids into it. I don't like zoos now because I have seen zoos where they're not treated very well. I grew up in Panama City. No, I'm sure the people there are really nice, but the giraffe is in like a cage like this size of this room. It's really sad. Like the Nashville Zoo is actually really great. It's very big. But I was thinking the other day, people should care more about like habitat fragmentation because there are a lot of people that are outraged about zoos, but by fragmenting their environment, are we not keeping them in a zoo also? Like because they can't.
What was that? Habitat fragmentation.
It's called habitat. So basically, when you see all these trees being knocked down, and now this coyote only has this much room to live in, is that not a zoo also? Because now they can't come into our...
I don't know. There's coyotes in my complex down the street. There's coyotes everywhere.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But they're coming because they can't live in their... So they're coming into our place. But we're basically putting them in their own cage because now they only have this much to live in. That's just as bad as a zoo, in my opinion. So
are you pro or con zoo? I couldn't tell.
I'm con zoo. I don't like zoos.
So if we get rid of zoos, then how do people learn more about animals? Like
that's what I'm saying. You can still have like wild... Like
if they're
animals, if they're hurt or injured or lived in a place where they were kept as like a circus animal and they can't live in the wild anymore, even if they're unhurt.
Circus animals.
I think reptiles and stuff are different because they don't need that much space. You can keep them, but like there are some animals that like if it's a big enough place, then it's okay. But again, the Panama City Zoo it's so tiny. Like their cages aren't big enough for these animals, and they're bored, and then they get antsy and cause problems. But
interesting. Very interesting. Well, I mean, I have tons of questions. I could keep going, but I'm going to write a lot of them down. Mm-hmm. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks. I mean, finally.
You're always on the show, but thanks for being in front of the camera.
Yeah, behind the camera.
Rather than behind the camera. This was informative. Learned a lot. We got a good new business idea. I really like that idea.
Which one?
We did do a lot, though.
Hamster wheel gym.
Hamster wheel gym or the floating solar panels. And I mean, so many ideas. We just want some royalties.
That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, so one of our next episodes is going to be another patron, Mr. Jason Smith. We're going to be discussing maps and the future of geographical mapping.
Jason's also a huge environmentalist.
Yeah, huge environmentalist. He's going to love this episode as well. Feel free to leave your comments, Jason. And again, folks, thanks so much for supporting the IR4 podcast. It's exciting. It's fun. Brian and I were talking the other day about growing it, how we're going to market. So if you have ideas about that, feel free to let us know. But ladies and gentlemen, let's continue sharing this information. Telling your friends, telling the world, giving us comments, feedbacks, thoughts, how we can continue to improve, teach, enrich, and educate people about what the Fourth Industrial Revolution is. And until next time, love, live, learn. You guys rock. We'll see you. Bye.